I can go to the related list and I can click on a new. Okay, if I click on a new, it will display something like this. Okay, if I don't like this one, I have to be customize this. What I can do is I can use the screen flow. Correct. If I want to do any of the screen sort of things, I can use the screen flows. Okay, this is screen flow. Once I create the screen flow can be used in multiple places. One thing is in the quick actions. So this is a quick action which we created in the last, in the last class, correct? Fill timesheet is a quick action where we have used the timesheet flow, correct? In this flow, what we did was we are showing this screen, correct? Project name, select date automatically, select hours automatically, at the timesheet name, correct? These are the things which we are using. And once I say done, it will be automatically creates the one timesheet entry for my user. Okay, how it really does. So here you guys needs to understand the elements here. Okay, in the management you have a lot of things you have, correct? So in this one, right, the main important things are these things: how you can retrieve the data, and how you can assign the data, and how you can show the data. For anything you have the three things, correct? Front end, middle end, back end, correct? So front end is nothing but what? UI, which is screen. How the screen should be displayed is the front end. So this how we can design using the screen flow is by using the screens here. Okay, if you just click on this one, you have a screen here. So this screen will gives you what type of screen you want to build. Okay, in this screen you have two different things: components and fields. So here components is nothing but what all the Salesforce is offering for us. Okay, also if we have any of the LWC or Aura component which are already inbuilt in the system, that will also be used here. Okay, if you see the call scripts and the cancel appointment, all these are the, if you see this particular icon, which is nothing but the lightning icon, correct? If you have this lightning icon, which means that this is a custom component which is not built by us yet, which is built by the Salesforce. If you want, if you don't like this screen also, you can customize using your LWC components and make granular UI and use a granular UI into this. Okay, so we can see that one in the development part, but try to understand these things. So you have 42 input fields. Okay, so in these fields, right, you have a lot of them are inbuilt components. These are the lightning components, LWC components. But the address, checkbox group, currency, all, so except these icons, whatever we have, those are called the system defined data types. We all know about the data types, correct? So we know all about the data types. Let's say if I want to create one field in my screen as a UI, I know that what type of screen I want to use, type of field I want to use. So let's say I want to fill my address. So if I drag this address, it will automatically gives you the all the related things on the address: street, city, postal code, country, and zip code automatically. Correct? So you no need to create your code to this address. It automatically does your address field here. Okay, like that. If let's say if you want to deal with your data table, so data table is this, still it's a new updated version which is built on the Salesforce. It's a beta version. Okay, it's not yet done. It's a beta version. So beta version in the sense that's a trial version. If we want to try anything, we should not try the beta versions in the production environment, but we can use them in our trialing things. Okay, date and time and display images and dependent pick list, whatever we want to drag, everything will be configured in this screen. Okay, everything will be configured based on our requirement in the screen itself, without writing any piece of code. Okay, let's say if I want to drag the email, so this automatically gives the email thing. If I want to upload some of the files, so it will gives me the upload file. I can upload a file, correct? So if I want to create a long text area, which means I need to put a lot of information, that is a text area. Okay, if I want to drag and drop the multi-select pick list, so I can drag and drop, and only the thing is I have to set the required things here, correct? These are the things which we have to understand here. If we drag some particular thing, what happens? So based on our use case only, we have to see. So let's say I'm dealing with the name, so name will have a lot of things. If I drag the name, it automatically gives me first name, last name, correct? What is my first name, and what is my last name? That is called the name. So these are all the things are predefined, and then we can use by drag and drop, and then pull the information here. Okay, let's say that in my screen, if I fill this, I want to create a new employee here. I can just drag the first name, last name, email, address, and long text area, and his resume. Okay, after that, if I done, okay, what happens is, in the next time, if you can use all these fields in your middleware. So the middle end, so this is a front end, you have filled all your data. So this has to be flowed to the back end, correct, through the middle end. So here you need some assignments, correct? In this assignment, what we have is something called the assignments. So you can assign any value using the assignments. In these assignments, right, you can use the object, which object you want to assign the values. So this object, and here hours you have, right? The hours is coming from your screen component. You have something called the screen components. So from the screen, you can just put the values here. Okay, so once you assign these things, these are the middleware. It will be deal with all those things, correct? And the backend is what I want to create a new record. So here the backend will have insert, update, delete operations, and retrieve also. So here we are doing the insert, correct? This is a create record, is nothing but the insert. So I can use that object and insert it. Once it is inserted, it will show the success screen or the failure screen. The success screen will show the this one, timesheet successfully entered. If not, it will throw an error message here with the error occurred. Understood here? So there are many things which we have to really go through each and everything. Okay. So I'll explain these in the back end things. Okay. Get records, create records, update records, delete records. So in the back end, we have these many operations. Okay. What individual does? So let's say get records. What is mean by the get records? Anybody knows? To retrieve the data from database, correct? Here the database is nothing but object. So to retrieve the data from object based on the conditions is called the get records. Simply, about, we can cover this one in the SOQL in our development part, but for now it's a just SOQL, correct? How we can do a SOQL for anything, that is called the get records. You no need to write any SOQL here. Okay, you can just use the get records function that will retrieve the data based on your requirement. Okay, let's see that. So here I did the, so here, okay, if you click on this add element, you have here the data. So data related things are these things: to create data, update data, get records, delete records, and roll back the records. So we were discussing about the get records. So get record in the sense it will find the Salesforce records and the stored in the flow. Okay. If I click on this one, it will ask you the label. What is this label? Fetch. What record you are fetching? Which object record? Let's say employee records. Correct. And here, what is the object name? As we discussed, the object is employee. So if you type this employee, you can see this employee object here. Correct. Always look for the exact API name. So you might get employee history, all these things, but you don't need to select this history. History is a something different object, but we are dealing with the employee object. So click on the employee object. Okay. Here you have a conditions. How to fetch the record. So you need some conditions to fetch the records, correct? You can't fetch all the records simply like that, correct? So if I want to fetch based on some data, let's say ID, where ID equals to this ID, correct? Which means that I will retrieve only one record. So I can use any of the conditions here. It's not only ID. Based on my requirement, I can use the name. So name contains this or anything. So any conditions will be treated here. In this one, it will display all the fields which are available in the employee object. Okay. And you can consider these are the filter conditions. Okay. So to simplify this, how you can write the SQL? Anybody has any idea on the how we can? No. So if you know about the socket, you can do this. Concept is very easy to understand. Okay. So let's say, how do you write the socket to retrieve a record based on the ID? What you do is you can select star, which is the all fields, correct? From a database name. So which is the object name here. You have the filter condition that is called the where condition. Where ID equals to some random number, right? Correct? If you write this one, what it returns, it will return the, let's say here, employee. Okay. If employee ID is this, I want to get this employee record. So which means it will retrieve this record, correct? Only one record because ID is unique. Okay. Let's say that if I want to retrieve the name like, sorry, department, like operator is nothing but you can just, do your regular expressions here. Like department, like IT. Correct? Then now, what this return? It returns all the employees which are related to the department called IT. Correct? So it's only one record here because the ID is unique. Here, any records. Correct? So this we have to write down and then we have to store in a one place in our any of the development, correct? But whereas in the flows you can use the get records and put your where clause. This is called the conditions, right? The filter conditions. These are called the filter conditions. Okay, these are called the filter conditions. You can use your filter condition to get the correct data to your logic. Okay, so in my case I'm using ID. ID is equals to record ID. Okay, so why the record ID? Means I'm using the timesheets in the employee, correct? This employee will have the ID. So if I use the record ID, exactly same this. Okay, remember this, when we are using a quick actions, you have to create one text field called record. Okay, so come on, you have to create a one exactly, this is a, you have to create exactly same like this. Okay, if you create like this and available for input, what happens is, it will, this variable will read the ID of this. Okay, wherever you place this particular flow into your quick actions, this record ID will read your employee ID. Correct? So this will read your ID here. Because of I have placed this in the employee, I need to get the employee so that I can match this employee ID in my timesheet as a master detail relationship. Correct? So for that reason, I need this ID. So for that, I need to create a one variable called record ID. This is the case sensitive. You have to use exactly like this. If you use any of the lowercase or uppercase, it doesn't work out, because that's how the Salesforce was built, only on this particular variables. So this is a reserved variable. Okay. If you create this record ID, then what happens is, so I can get the employee ID where this ID equals to this, right? This employee. What I can do in my socket is, I can get the employee and get ID equals to record ID. Correct? What happens is, now it will fetch my employee records. Correct? So now what we can do is, the same record, now I'm storing this record. See here, there are conditions here. Sort employee records. If you have many records, you can sort by descending order or ascending order. Correct? So if you don't sort anything, just leave it. And how many records you want to store? If you know that you are dealing with many records, all records. Okay. If you're dealing with only first record, which is only one record you are expecting here, so only one record. Okay. Because in this case, if I'm using ID, so it will gives me only one record. So I'm dealing with only one record. And here, how to store the record data. Correct. So here, automatically store all the fields. Choose the fields and let the Salesforce do the rest. Choose the fields and assign the variable advanced. So you have three options here. Okay. Why we have three options? So here three options in the sense this. Star operations means all the fields it will automatically retrieve. So that is called the automatically store all the fields. Okay. No, if I want to store only certain fields, so I can choose this. If I choose this one, what fields you want to store? Okay, let's say I want to store only the name, last name or first name or anything. Okay, let's say name. If I want to store only the name, the rest of fields will not be used in the next things. Okay, if I want to use only the ID and name from this object in my entire flow, I can use this. Okay, if you don't know what fields can be used in any part of my flow, then use automatically store the data. Okay, for now use the automatically stored all the fields, because you never know that which field you can use in what type of conditions. Correct? Use this automatically store all the fields, so that it will fetch all the fields from the employee. Whatever the fields you have in the employee, everything will be stored as per the object. Okay, once you've done right, now you have the employee record. Now start with it. This is a flow screen. Correct? In this flow, I have created the project name with the sum of the pick list values. PTO, training, support project, company holiday, like that. Okay, you can choose any things, whatever you want here. Okay, any pick list. So because in this timesheet still in this object, right, the project name is still, it's not a drop down. Okay, it's a text field. So that's the reason I'm just making some of the pick list over here, and select date. So select date, I'm making it as automatically today. So we saw the some of the functions in the Salesforce, correct? So for that one, what we have to do is to get the correct date of today, we have to write down our formulas. Okay, how the formulas will be worked out here in the new resource in the sense new variable. Okay, you have the formula here. You can create your own formula. So in the formula, what type of formula it is? It is a date or time. So let's say it's a date. And here in your actions, all functions, correct? Here the date and time functions. And what functions you want to use. I know that I want to use that today. Correct? If I choose like this, it will automatically insert, and then this variable will be used anywhere if I want to use that today. Correct? This is the formula field. The formulas will be automatically store the data based on the current system. Okay. Now, since I want to make the field as a today's date, so I have created a new field called today. So here, this is a formula, correct? This formula I have created here. If you go and see this one, the data type is date, and the formula I have entered the today, correct? If I enter the today, it will display the today's name, today's date. Okay, so done. Here, what I used is the selected date is default value is today, correct? Which is from the resource which I created under the formulas. Okay, and hours also I can make the default value is maximum this, and the project name I just mention something like this. Let's say that if I want to display my employee name, so display text. So display text is okay. So before in here, I want to display some of the text here. So the display text is employee name. Okay. Employee name. So this employee name, so here you have the resource. In the resource, what I can do is I can just type the employee. So here whatever we retrieved from the record, single variable, correct? This we did for the get records. From this one, you just click on it, and come on. From here, what I want is the name, correct? I want the name. So this formula will be displayed over here. So now I want this formula to be a somewhat bold. So I can make it happen. Understood? You guys are able to understand this one, or you want me to repeat again? Okay. You guys are able to understand the screen? I mean, what is mean screen? So screen, you can design your screen how you want, correct? Using the out of the box features. Okay. When you are dealing with the out of the box, you have a lot of features here. You can drag your address, you can check your dates and functions. If you want to make some of the fields as default things, so sometimes we need to have the formula fields like the date, correct? So date is what I want to display. Okay, so let me do one more thing. So up to now, okay, what I'll do is I'll just make it a save as new version, and I will activate this. Okay, so let's see here. So it's easy you guys to understand from here. Okay, so what we did was we have created a new quick action. If I logged in my system, I will open up my employee record. Okay, and I'll use the filter the timesheet quick action. If I click on this, Now automatically my flow screen was executed here. Am I correct? Right? If you see here, this is the employee name, correct? The employee name is will be displayed here. For this employee, select the project name. If you see here, I have the pick list values here, correct? Let's say I'm in the training. If you see the date, automatically 27 December 2022 was already automatically set up. I didn't enter anything here, correct? I'm auto populating this. How I have auto populated is by using the system the fields. The system field is what? We have some of the formulas where I can set my system fields. That is called the today, correct? If I set that today, the today will automatically picks my the today's date. Okay. Hours. Hours is just a number, so I can set as the hours here. And the timesheet name also I made as a default. Okay. Let's say week timesheet. Okay. Enter something like this. This is my timesheet. As soon as I filled all these things, I can just click on next. What happens now? If everything is good, this is success. The timesheet successfully entered. Correct? Which means I'm ending up the flow. I can just finish my flow. If I finish my flow and come to this related records, you can see one more new record here, correct? 27 training for Divanshu, 8 hours. The name, it is not creating properly. We can see this one. Okay. Whatever we put the name, that name is not populating over here. Okay. Why we don't know, but we'll see. So an outline, you have understood, right? Why we need this flow. When I click on this one, I want to display this kind of screen, and this will be implemented by the screen flow, correct? And to make all these things, I want to get the employee record ID first. Wherever I'm clicking this employee record I want. To get that, I want to use the first fetch record IDs. First thing is you want to get the record ID, right? To get the record ID, you have to create the one text field called one new resource variable called record ID. This should be case sensitive. Okay. Record ID. This will be the, you have to clearly enter this record ID. This is a very, very important thing. Okay. If you enter this and if you make this available, so because this is already available, so I can't use it for next time, correct? So only once we can use this. So if you have this record ID, what happens is the flow will fetch the wherever you are landing this. Okay, wherever you are clicking on this, from where it will have the record ID over here. This record ID it will fetch here. If you see here, right? The variable is called the record ID. This record ID is what? Employee record ID will be fetched and then it will be stored in the this variable called the record ID variable. Okay. Now we have the record ID variable. Now with this variable, what I need to do is I want to fetch the employee name. Correct? So if I want to fetch the employee name, what I need to do is I need to do the get records. You have something called the get records. If you click on this one, you will display this get records. Okay. In this get records, name your thing. You can just put your label name to easy understanding of it. Okay. I'm fetching the employee record here. Okay. So what is the type of object is employee object. And now what I'm doing is I know the ID. So where ID equals to this ID, then I want to get that employee record here. I'm putting this employee record, only first record, and automatically store all the fields. Correct? Understood here, guys? So once I get the records, I can, my next step is what? I want to, this will happen These operate the data will related things will happen in the back end. Remember that data related things, assignments, and everything, the decisions, everything will be happening in the back end. Okay, on the front end, only the screens will be displayed. Remember that. Okay, if you see here, only this is displaying. Correct. As soon as we click on this, if I click on this, immediately what is happening is it is displaying the screen. Back end, it is already done. Correct. Getting the record is already done. So these things, the data related things will be happen in the back end. In the front end, and the assignments will be happen in the middleware, so it won't be displayed in the UI. Only the screens will be displayed on the UI. Understood? So now before we display this, what we have to do is we have to fetch the employee records. So we fetch the employee records. The reason is in the front end we are showing the employee name and the employee ID, correct? So that's the reason we want to fetch it. So here timesheet for Divanshu. So let's say the timesheet for Divanshu is my display text. Okay. And here I don't know, somehow this default value I'm just ignoring it now.